when we speak of child marriage is a marriage between two people in which the both spouses are younger than 18. Child marriage is the violation of girls' child rights. When we say the violation of rights, I mean girls not being basically given the chance to express their feelings when it comes to marriage or being forced into marriage by their parents. We have so many issues that trend and so many issues that brought into child marriage. Excuse me. Yeah, you can. Hello. Sorry for the interruption. The basic statistics of child marriage. When we talk of statistics of child marriage, like in the north here, child marriage is most common in the northwest and northeast region of Nigeria, and mostly from my side, House of Fulani. Yeah, there's this issue that happened recently with my own family. Meanwhile, my sister is being forced, my cousin sister Joe from the village is being forced to go into marriage at the early age of 14. So she married at the early age of 14, and at 15, she was already pregnant through the period, and at 15, she's having a baby, which results to traumatic health disorder that lead to her bladder problem. She suffered unnecessary. She pees on herself, mess up herself due to the issue that her bladder cannot even contain her own piece because she's still young and she has given birth already. Having a baby at 15, you know what that means. She's been deprived from the right to go to school and other things. The marriage was done basically on a promise by our grandparents, which they promised each other that they are going to render a marriage, they are going to join marriage from the, how family friends do in the old days, given to the old religion and other things. So we've been having issues like this in the north. And basically, I would like to speak on the needs to raise an alarm in which how we can handle and tackle the child marriage here in the north, because statistically 68% and 75, almost 57% of women aged 20 to 49 were married before their 18th birthday. That is based on statistics as statistically displayed by the UN. 68 to 57% of women aged 20 to 49 are married before their 18th birthday, in which 18 is the common age for marriage and the common age for adolescence. So in Nigeria here, mostly in the Hausa Fulani ethnic clan, there's what we call the race to avoid poverty. The poorest family may decide to give their hand in marriage to maybe the rural king or the emir of a place. Even if the girl is not due nor right for marriage, they may decide to give her out in terms of marriage, trying to cover up some financial problems. The girl after being married, help them one way or the other. So, because it's something that is of paramount importance and something that the government or the rightful authorities need to address. We have the lack of education. When I say lack of education, basically on statistics, 80% of female child of girls here in the north are not in school. 80%. When I say 80%, I mean 80% of girls are not in school. Why? Because we all have that belief and that sense common of cultural cycle that the girl's child education ends in the kitchen. So this is something we really have to look into. The girl's child education ends in the kitchen. What are the boys doing? And if we can educate a girl, I believe, to my own belief as an advocate and someone who is trying to see the needs to gender equality, if you can educate a single girl, it will give you a higher advantage of your children are going to grow in peaceful and emotional control because she's been well prepared, well trained, and well prepared for the marital and the outside life. So here in the north, we find it so hard to let female children be in school because we believe educating a girl is just like a waste of time. Meanwhile, it's more the more she gets educated, she's ended up in someone's house. Her life doesn't end there. If she's in someone's house, she still has the opportunity to cater for herself. If she's being educated, if she's not being educated, she will be left outside the cycle of the 21st century, in which it is a race of modern technology that everybody needs to be advanced. We are growing up with time, but here in the north, we are far left behind, in which 80% of our children, of our girls, are not in school. It's a very, very huge factor affecting, leading to child marriage at early age. She's not in school, she's only at home doing nothing. Why don't you get her home? Why don't you marry her up to someone who is ready? These are things affecting us, and things we really have to change and find common factor to address. Poverty. A poor family may just decide to marry up their daughter in order to settle some financial problems, escape poverty cycle and other things, which is a very big mistake. You're married, are you selling her? It's like you're selling her pride. Once you get her married to someone who is not ready for the sake of his wealth and other things, it's like you're selling out her dignity, her respect, her everything. She will be sexually assaulted, she will be harassed, she will be other harmful things. She will be a victim of total domestic violence. Because at first, he knows why she's here. She's here because he has the money to help his parents, her parents. So if she's here with him, he can do and undo, knowing that he has money to do and undo. The parents are after the money, not after the love being shared between them. Understand? And this is another factor affecting us that we really, really, really have to look into. We have the traditional practice and religion beliefs. Yeah, when we talk of traditional practice, we have so many traditional practice that has to do with getting a girl to marry at a very tender and young age. But when we talk of religious crisis, I as a Muslim, I strongly believe that marrying up a girl at the age of 10, 11, 12, 13 is not a crime in Islam. But apparently, there are conditions and certain situations you need to look into before you send her up to marriage at that stage. We have those that are fast in growing, which their body organs and other things are above their age. They look older than their age. And we have those who look younger than their age. Islamically and statistically, you have to look into some factors before you get her up to marriage and in Islamic. And protecting in religious, we believe that marrying up a girl at a very tender age is an act that is protecting the girl's sexuality. In certain culture, marrying a girl young presumes that the girl's sexuality, that the girls will stay away from being sexually harassed from people around, raped, and other sexual harassment of such cases. In which it is very wrong. At a very tender age, what I believe is, as a boy, if I am emotionally groomed to know the facts that a girl needs to be treated well, in as much as I need to be treated well, she needs to be given that same right to be treated with emotional care, handled with care, and other things. Giving boys the mentality that they are superior against women makes them act selfish, and I don't know which word to use it, but makes them act irresponsible. As a boy growing up, I have this series of encounter that I don't have a kid sister, though I have an elder sister who is older than me. As I was growing up in my own family, I'm trying to tell you how I grew up in my own family. I have my sister is older than me, though. She wasn't forced to do things for my sake. We're being equalized by our parents, knowing that we are living in a century that equality matters in as much as equity matters. My sister, up till date, she punished me. That is something I want us to understand. Giving a child the right, giving a male child or a female child a right to, giving a female child a right to school and other things is something that will reduce the factor, into sending them into marriage at early age. So we have the inadequate laws. In many countries have law against child marriage, but the laws are not being enforced. In Nigeria, there are current laws protecting the girl's child in the north, and in Nigeria, we don't have a law defending the girl's child from being married at an early age. We shouldn't be. There should be a certain age that a girl needs to marry, and there should be a certain age that a girl needs to be in school in the midst of her peers to learn. This is why we are advancing. But here in the north, I am afraid to say, at the age of 8, 9, you may see a girl hawking pure water, selling a soybean and other things. At the age of 11 to 12, she may decide to graduate from hawking pure water, selling granite on the street, and then migrate into selling food around the street side, which is a huge factor affecting the northern part of the country. If the country or the north need to move on, then we need to give our children, our girls most especially, equal right education. So the most basic effect of child marriage in the north, when we say the effect of child marriage, what is it that is affecting the girls, the victim of the marriage? I mean, when it's the victim who falls victims of such, what is it affecting them? Death of a mother and child. The girl will decide to, the girl will most likely die while giving birth, because she is not due to conceive and give birth to a baby at that age, maybe, or her organs are not grown to look older than her age. She is not fully mature to conceive, and she's pregnant at that age, maybe age of 13, maybe age of 14. She's giving birth at the age of 15. She may die. If not die, she may fall into traumatic health condition that will lead to her not to be able to conceive ever again. She may lose her ovaries. She may lose her ovaries, or her placenta will be affected in the sense that she cannot conceive again. At a very tender age of 15, maybe she lost the baby and she cannot conceive again. She herself knows that she cannot bear a baby of her own. That is very traumatic. That is an emotional torture. She'll forever live in pain knowing that she cannot bear her own baby due to the mistakes done by her parent, not her own mistakes. This is something we really have to look into. Death of a mother of a child, if eventually the mother is not dead and lose her ovaries, she cannot be able to bear, she may live up to 50, 70 years on earth without her own children, without having a baby of her own. And it's not her mistake, it's the mistake of her parents. That is emotional torture. She will live in pain till her death, in which is a very bad thing to accommodate in the midst of a modernized society. Increase of risk in domestic violence. She might be forced to do things. A girl can be assaulted, forced to do things that she's not used to when she is married at the age of 14. There was a case here in my state at Giade local government. You don't know if you've heard of Giade local government. There's this girl that was married at the age of 16 years. She was 16 years in a village, typical village. She was married to a man of 35 years. Can you imagine the age gap difference? She's married to a man of 35 years and she was just 16. So as a girl of 16 years who has not undergone any sexual intercourse or have any idea of what sex education means, at their first night, he wanted to have sex with her, being her his bride. The girl was afraid. She became traumatically afraid that she has to use knife on him, and eventually she killed him. When she was being asked by the people of the media and the security agencies, her answer was she thought he was going to rape her. She was very young not to know what marital home means. She was still young and she was married to a man of 35, and I was about to have sex with him, being her his bride, and she killed him eventually, claiming to tell the media that she has no idea that this is what happened in a marital home. She thought he was going to rape her. So she was on self-defense to the stage that she killed him. These are common mistakes that we should look into. A girl at the age of 13, 12 should be given adolescent education, sex education. You need to bring your child close. Give your boy child need to be given what self-control means. Give him sex education. Talk to him about his sexual experience. And at the very age of 12, 13, as a boy, your sexual organs are working. You'll be having to have that temptation that you can do and undo. In this, just like now, we have many movies being played, like movies that translate sexual, that displays sex scenes and other things. You understand? Emotional movies that get them engaging, kissing, hugging, and other things. Your boy might be watching those kinds of movies. You don't even know. This is a media era. You don't know he has a smartphone. He may be saying some things that you, as a parent, you don't know. But if you bring him close, talk to him about his emotions, his sexual feelings, and other things, put him through sex education, tell him what self-control and integrity means. Your boy might be lucky enough to have that esteemed self-control to stay out from sexual harassment and other things on his on the opposite sex. But we don't give our children that courtesy to be able to coach them on their sexual. I myself wasn't coached on sexual on sex education, not until while I was in school at my SS1. I was being taught sex education and other things. It's a good thing I have the opportunity, but many of our children here in the north don't have that opportunity. They don't have that access to sex education, what sex education means, what self-control means, what no means in general. Most of our boys here don't know that, which is very wrong. And even before this, there's this plan I have that if the rightful authority or the government will see the needs, they should enforce compulsory basic education to every female child in the north. When I say compulsory basic education, a girl will be allowed to school till she'll be given that opportunity to have the right to read and write her name. Most of our girls in marital home today cannot write their names. This is bad.
Sure. Please, can you just round up?
And unfair. If you, I believe to say that. Okay, sorry. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. I'll round up in the next 3 minutes. Most of our girls here in the north, most of our girls here is very unfortunate at a marital home, having 2, 3 kids. You cannot write your name down. You cannot write your name down. You cannot write a common letter. How do we are being taught that the first school in life is your mother. If your mother cannot read and write, is illiterate of that, I don't think is illiterate of of that. I don't think she will be able to give a proper coaching to the upbringing of a boy child. This is something that is trending the immorality of masculinity in men here in the north. And benefits. Let me just quickly round up and talk of the benefit of child marriage. One of the benefits is educated women have a greater chance. If you are able to educate a lady, she'll have a greater chance of escaping poverty, leading a healthier and productive life, and raising the standard of living for their children, families, and community. If you're able to give a lady a quick education, a chance to educate a lady, she'll have a 70 to 80% chances of escaping poverty. Unlike the ones who are not being in school but sent into early marriage. So I think the government has to enforce a law that will tackle the child marriage. If a child is not up to 18, 18 is the standard years known to be an adult in the whole in the country. So if a child is not up to 18, I don't think the government should give a standard law and make sure it's being supervised and enforced upon everybody or anyone who violates violate that law of she may be dying inside. You don't even know, because we have this belief that the girls are not meant to express themselves, but the boys are. This is a very huge difference. That if you don't know what is wrong with someone, you cannot give him the medication. Just like a doctor and a patient, you need to tell the doctor how you feel before he examines you and tell you the kind of and prescribe drugs for you. So we need to give our girls the right to speak up for themselves. We need to give our girls the right to choose. We need to give our girls the right to marry whom they love and at the right time. We just can't keep saying that already I have a husband meant for you, you're going to marry him, you have nothing to say, you have no say in this. He won't value her. If we want to value our child, our girl child, we need to give them we need to value them from home by giving them the chance to speak up for themselves and sending them to school. I think girl being in school will reduce the range of girls' marriage. Thank you very much, Halima. Thank you very much for having time to have me here, invite me here and speak on the marriage, on the girls' child marriage in the North. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much, Mohammed, for that talk. Thank you very much. It was very nice to hear from the view from our brothers at the North and how things go on the other side of Nigeria. Thank you very, very much. We're very enlightened. So we'll straight away be going into the question and answer session. Solomon, are you with us?
Can you ask me the questions first, because I have to go for prayers.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's fine. So would you like me to ask all the questions at once, or would you like me to ask a question and then you answer?
I would like you to ask, then I answer. It should be more okay.
Okay, so the first question is, you mentioned that Islamically, it is right to marry a girl who is 13 years old. Does this make it morally right?
Yeah, I mentioned the Islamic view that it's right to marry up a girl at the age of 11, 12 to 13, because there was a hadith of our prophet that was revealed. He was married to Nana Aisha at the very age of 9, but she vacated his. They were married at the age of 9, but she wasn't in his house until she was at the age of 13. You see, Islamically, it's okay to marry up a girl at the age of 13. But morally and mentally, Islamically, we are given chance to have the Western education also. Because there was a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which he said that get educated, stay away from illiteracy, seek for knowledge, and there is a knowledge yet to come. That is the Western education, currently known as the Western education. Seek for it to learn it so that you will live comfortably in the midst of everybody. So you see, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also encouraged us to seek for the Western knowledge, which is very much okay for a girl to stay at home until she is 18 and fully ripe for marriage. Islam does not against that. But what I want us to see, to look into the moral, the chances, and the disadvantage of marrying early. This is something I want us to look into. The Prophet ﷺ once told his companions that if a thing is more disadvantageous than his advantage, staying up it is okay. So if the disadvantage of girls' child marriage is of more rate than the advantages, then I think it's high time we adjust. I'm not saying it's totally condemnable in Islam. It is not condemned. In Islam, a child marrying at the age of 19, since our Prophet has done it, it is legal. But again, we have to see the advantage and disadvantage it is causing to our society. In order to live healthier, we need to give them at least the basic education. That is the 363 to JS3, in which she can read and write, then she's ready for marriage. I think that answers your questions, right?
Yeah. Okay, so another question is, do you think that leaders in the North and Islamic leaders will be open to having a conversation on consent of the girl child for marriage?
Yeah.
Do you think that leaders here will be open to having that conversation? on
Very
having to.
much okay. Hello? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yes, I'm with you.
All right, you said,
I
do I
said, do
think
you
that?
think that the leaders in the North and Islamic leaders will be open to having a conversation on the consent of girl child prior to marriage?
Yes, they will welcome that. If you seek their consent to have a conversation with them, they will welcome that. Why I say they welcome that is they will enlighten you more on the Islamic aspect of it, tells you the dangers, tells you the advantage, and tells you the major care of how to handle it. They will welcome the idea to speak up.
Okay. Then the last question is, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought to light the gulf in the education of mothers generally, especially in the North.
Come again? Sorry.
The COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes.
The COVID-19 pandemic has brought to light the gulf in the education of mothers, especially in the North, as students are not able to go to school now. So how do you think that now we can work on solving this problem that we can now see that exists?
Well, the pandemic has put a traumatic situation to education sector in general. To talk of that, that is why if you go through what I said before, you'll heard me say that the first school one have to attend as a child is his mother. So if your mom or your mother is not giving that sense of belonging to have at least an educative, the Western education, so she can read, write, put her children through the already showed us that sending girls into marriage with at home, most of them don't go through their books. They don't have a guide. They don't have those to put them through. Many of their male parents, let's say the men, are out there struggling how to feed them because the pandemic has put a halt to the economic recession of the whole world. So if your mom cannot teach you what you should be taught in class, then I think it's high time we look into the girls' child marriage. Give them a right, give them a chance to study. It will help in situations like this. We're not hoping for another pandemic, but if a pandemic should arise again and the girls are well educated, I think it will ease the work of the teachers, even if school, like now, school is already on resumption and WAEC commences of the 17th. I tell you, most of our students will have traumatic issues with their WAEC because most of them are not ready. Why? Because when they were at home, there was nobody to guide them. Their moms are not in school. This is not, I'm telling you, I'm not saying in general. I'm speaking of North, where I come from. You understand what I mean? So this has the pandemic has bring into a spotlight to the North that we have to wake up, give girls the right to education, give girls the equal right to choose. This a wise man said that equality cannot be assured, but equity can be. I don't know if you get me. Equality cannot be assured, but equity can be. So even if we are not going to equalize everything fully, but with giving them that equity, with trying to show sign of equity, sending them to school, giving them the right to speak up, gradually, everything will become to the odd norms will become will vanish slowly and washed away from the surface. Because as soon as they attend school, they are educated, they can help, they can impact, they can change the life of 2, 3 in their community. We'll begin to have that sense of belonging that if more should be done to girls, at least the community will be more livelier, more peaceful, and more progressive.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mohammed. It was such a pleasure having you here with us today. We thank